you know, I'm looking to hire writers and actors who bring diversity. I'm not looking to bring on any more clients who are white.
Oh my word, this has taken the internet by storm because we have Michael Giordano, who apparently is the senior vice president and team lead of the Walt Disney Company, saying on camera with his own horse's mouth that they are practicing racist hiring practices. Like, I don't know why this is supposed to be shocking now. But what's more shocking to me is that these guys will go on these dates and just talk. You have so much to lose and it's almost like they just want to unload this. And of course, the internet is covering it. Everyone is covering it. Washington Times is covering it. And it's so awful because this guy unleashes and reveals all of the secrets of how shady Disney is being, not just towards white people or white men, but also black people who don't look black enough. So we're gonna go into this because, damn, this is painful. And we saw the confrontation.
Are the vice president of the Walt Disney Company, and you're on tape saying that you don't hire white males. Quote, "No way we're hiring a white male."
No way we're hiring a white male.
Sir, are you the vice president of Disney?
So then apparently Elon Musk is now getting involved. I mean, he was back in February when he was in support of Gina Carano because she posted controversial tweets but was fired, even though her co-stars did the same and worse, but they were not. And now this stuff happens, and that's where all of this drama has now inflated to a hilarious degree. All right, so let's start.
Certainly, there have been times where, you know, there's no way we're hiring a white male.
Just kind of unspoken.
There are times when it's spoken, but
how would they say it?
there's no way we're hiring a white male.
Like straight to you, or okay.
They'd be very careful how they message that to agents.
My thing is, aren't most of the execs at Disney white? Look, I think it's a beautiful thing to hire people from all different backgrounds. You don't want to discriminate against someone just because they don't look like you. That's stupid and it's immoral. But you do want to have the best person for the job. If we're celebrating diversity, diversity is the inclusion of people from all walks of life, not the exclusion of one person based on their skin color. So nobody else finds that to be an issue?
As far as Disney's concerned, I'm a white male.
So basically you can't really say anything. Even though, is this guy Italian? He looks Italian or Italian mixed. And I remember, I mean, based on what we know, when Italians came to this country, they weren't considered white, especially if you're Sicilian. So it's very funny now that people consider Italian men to be white. So it's almost like he's not allowed to say anything, or he's at the lower end of totem pole, even though he's a senior vice president. That's where it seems like he's going with this, but I could be wrong.
I'm sort of like well prepared for it. I'm well positioned for it. But as far as Disney's concerned, I'm a white male. That's not what they're looking at promoting.
As a white guy, even Michael has his own doubts about the possibility for advancement for himself at Disney. In fact, Michael actually got to experience Disney's discrimination against white males firsthand.
Yeah, you know, I've been at the company for 11 years now, so I have friends in HR and I have friends in other divisions, and they're like, look, nobody else is going to tell you this, Mike, but they're not considering any white guys for a show. They're just not. That's not what they want.
They even passed over a qualified half-black person for a promotion because they didn't look black enough.
We wanted to hire somebody in the department a few years ago now, who was half black, but didn't like appear half black. And there was a creative executive who was like, we're not, like, that's not what's black. Like, they wanted somebody in meetings who would appear a certain way, and he wasn't going to bring that to me. I mean, it kind of feels like we're, at some point there's going to be a lawsuit. That's kind of how it feels, just because of, you know.
Yeah, get it off your chest. Who would have known that you would have spearheaded it? I mean, it was already happening, but imagine turning away a black person because they happen to their skin's not dark enough. Not only do biracial people have to deal with growing up not knowing where they fit in because they don't completely fit in with one side or the other. I'm not saying every single person has that experience, but you know, that happens. Depending on if you're like in a hoity-toity suburban area and you look more black, then people are gonna be like, well, unless the parents are both rich, then nobody really cares. But especially if you live in an area where there's predominantly black individuals, depending on where you live, often the biracial kid will get more shit from the black people or the black side because, you know, or even if you're freaking half Latino, you still will get that shit. My husband went through that. The Puerto Ricans are like, you're not really one of us though, because you look white, so Like, he looks Latino, but he also looks Italian. And either side is like, you look kind of like, but you're not all the way cooked. And then they kind of discriminate on you based on that, or make fun of you, or keep you kind of like at arm's length, and you have to prove your Italianness or prove your Hispanicness. Like, it's so stupid. It's so primitive. It's so funny that Disney cares about inclusion and cares about Black voices and all that, but yet if a Black person or a half Black person doesn't look Black enough, because, you know, Black people can only look one way, then they're not considered for a job because their skin color is not dark enough. What? Do you know how damaging that is to a biracial person? And it's just really sad. But at the same time, you have these people claiming that, oh, they don't look Black enough, but yet they still would prefer to hire biracial people that look like Zendaya and that look like our lovely friend Amanda Stenberg. Notice. It's people, when I used to talk about stuff like this, people used to think I was crazy. Like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You're just finding things that aren't there. Really? 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 We're observing it. You can see it. And now the Disney exec himself is saying the same shit. At that point, the people that are putting their heads in the sand and saying everybody else is weird feel more like conspiracy theorists, but on the other edge where they just think none of this is happening. Like, I have a conspiracy theory that this isn't happening. This isn't actually happening. They just want us to think it's happening. Okay, if you want to be that level of Delulu, you go ahead.
And that is a lawyer talking. So how does Disney explain pushing these discriminatory practices? They use code words and buzzwords.
I'm guessing that there is a acceptable code words and buzzwords that are used to explain what they're looking for. They might say something like, you know, look, we're not looking at like the usual suspects for this job. You know, so it's not like a legally actionable thing. Blind knows what it means. Big writers and actors, you hear all the time, like, looking to hire writers and actors who bring diversity.
Yeah, so if you're white, you can't bring anything diverse or different. If you're from Greenland or from Denmark or from Australia, you're all exactly the same. So you can't bring anything new or any new perspectives. You know, nobody who is white can bring anything new artistically to what we're looking for. You can't be smart. You can't tell us what we don't already know because you're white. So you're just like vacuous. You're just expansive space and dark matter. There's nothing, we don't know it. Nah, you're all the same. You're all this monolith of a white sheet of paper that just spans across all of time. And the only people that have anything to contribute to society are people that are African American, or no, but not if you're half African American, but you look white, not you. We don't mean you though. You're too mayo. No, we need like the fully cooked, extra crispy type of people. Those are who we need. Yeah, those people. That's right. But not in roles, like if we're putting them in movies, we don't want them in roles of romance with strong Black male characters or strong male characters in general. They just need to be strong, masculine, lesbian, and that's it. Because while we want these women to be at the forefront to prove how non-racist we are, we also don't want them to be a threat to our men and what we want. We don't want them to be looked at as desirable by straight men. I don't know, but I don't know what I'm talking about, right? It's giving rich white parents or rich white celebrities going to Africa to get the blackest kid they can find or some Cambodian child to come back and show all their friends what a good person they are because now they have a freaking herd of orphan children from different countries collecting them like stray dogs. That's what it's giving. And no, I'm not trying to throw shade at Angelina Jolie, but I mean, that's kind of what she did. It's not like, oh, I really want to give this person a chance. No, it's the way they parade them. Like, see, look at my African child. Aren't I a good person? You can't say I'm racist now. And I'm a good person because I performed charity. I feel good about myself now. All my neighbors are going to look at me and say how nice I was because I'm a white woman who has given an opportunity that these colored people, because let's be honest, people of color is just a roundabout way of saying colored people. Let's not fuck around and find out, shall we? Yeah, I rescued those poor children and I made society better. That's what this is giving. And all of it is fake because they're acting like that. that just makes me and everyone else looking at this mistrust them even more. And I know this might sound funny, but you're actually not doing any favors for the minority communities, because all you're doing is promoting racism. And I don't just mean against white people, I mean white people against minority groups. Because what happens in psychology when you play favorites and then vilify a child or another person, and you're constantly propping up this other person, parents do that all the time. They will have one kid that they like, that's the prettiest or the smartest, and what they'll do is see how Billy does well on his tests and study. You guys don't do that. You need to be more like your brother. Well, your brother doesn't do that. See how nice your brother is to people? You need to open up your mouth and stop being so introverted. You're being weird and bringing shame to the family. Billy doesn't do that. Guess what's gonna start happening? The siblings are gonna start fucking hating Billy. I've seen that happen in my own family, where even I, as an outside observer, started to resent that fucking kid. And then the kid who is being propped up is now feeling the superiority complex, because that's what happens with human beings, and like, ooh, yeah, that's right, I am all of that shit, so y'all need to bow down and kiss my fucking feet, and if you don't, you're racist, or I'm gonna tell mom and dad and they're gonna fire you. That's what this whole thing is giving. It's not because they actually care about minority groups or black people. It's very clear they don't, because if you're biracial but you're not black enough for them, you're not allowed to be here. Isn't it weird that we had to get to this point for someone to actually say it before some people noticed it was happening, even though everyone's been telling them? I like how so many people are like, you guys are tripping, that's not actually happening. Really? Everyone can see that it's happening, and it's the people who are just either perpetually stupid or some white people that are trying way too hard to appear like they're allies, and they're just looking at what some of their black friends are saying. No, that's not actually happening. See, no, my black friend said it's not happening. Okay. But the thousands and millions of other black people out there that do notice it's happening and are tired of it and saying something, they don't exist. Everyone just pretends that their voices don't matter. And now we're seeing it.
Not looking to bring on any more clients or...
James O'Keefe standing here in Burbank, California, outside Disney corporate headquarters. This is our first part in a series about blatant discrimination and woke policies at the Walt Disney Company. Under CEO Bob Iger's leadership, Disney's downfall likely started with the insane hiring practices amongst its executives and creative teams. One of their top senior vice presidents claims that they not only discriminate against white men when recruiting and hiring middle management, they actually give bonuses for hiring and retaining employees that are specifically not white. According to these videotapes, Disney blatantly discriminates against whites, white men in particular.
Real, what in the Nazi regime is this? I can't even believe what I'm hearing. I believe it, but it's still so perplexing to me that in a place, in a region in which the headquarters is based, California was supposed to be a place of tolerance and acceptance, and they are the most intolerant and prejudiced people. It's always the progressive areas that say they're progressive, but they're actually not. Like, I have witnessed this. Like, it's so ignorant, except it's not, because they're purposely doing this. And I think it's about time that they get a little blowback for it, you know? This is what happens when people have too much time on their hands and when certain companies have too much of a monopoly.
And other characters into Disney's children's animated series and films.
Is it like an all-across thing, like all of HR? There's like that one specific person that kind of like, because I forgot the lady's name. She's the head of the.
I know you're talking about the head of
the African American lady. Yeah. So is that like kind of her deciding?
She oversees a lot of that, for sure. But it's pretty broad, I would say. There are other people in HR who are also focused on that. I would say a relatively large percentage of our top writer creators happen to be different. And a lot of...
Just by happenstance.
I mean, like, if you say whatever, I don't know, whatever, 10 or 15% of the population is gay, I would guess they 30 or 35% of our top writers happen to be, gay. And so I think a lot of them lean into trans stories more than your average straight writer would.
And in an odd twist, you have to be a white Jewish guy to be considered for a C-suite job. More on that next week. But now, let's meet Los Angeles-based Michael Giordano, a white male and Walt Disney Senior Vice President of Business Affairs.
Whatever 10 or 15% of the population is gay, I would guess they 30 or 35% of our top writers happen to be, gay. And so I think a lot of them lean into trans stories more than your average straight writer would.
And in an odd twist, you have to be a white Jewish guy to be considered for a C-suite job. More on that next week. But now, let's meet Los Angeles-based Michael Giordano, a white male and Walt Disney Senior Vice President of Business Affairs.
I do the business affairs, like negotiations for television.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah. Nice, that's really cool.
Not really like on the creative side. So a lot of it is, like knowing like the guild agreements, the union agreements and everything.
I think this dude really wanted to get everything off his chest. And on another note, I'm just wondering, because I'm like legitimately curious and I might not get an answer to this, but these undercover women, do they actually fuck this guy? Because, like, if he's not getting anything out of it, like, why would he want to continue? You know what I'm saying? And these are, like, different dates with what seems like the same person. Unless he's just there to get everything off his chest, I would assume that he'd be getting something out of it for him to keep returning. Talk about taking one for the team.
Well, actually, 2 of our brave undercover journalist and American Swiper investigative reporters met Michael on the dating app Hinge. And aside from this story, which focused on Disney's overt discrimination against white men, you'll see later on in this report, it'll be quite entertaining, Michael turns out to be quite the ladies' man.
How long have you been on, like, dating out?
Not very long.
How did you find out?
Not a lot. Not a lot.
Anything, like, worth?
You know what's funny? No.
Let's dig
Wait, just a quick thing I want to point out. This is funny. I think it worked out because I was wondering why was he spilling so much? But guys like him, I imagine, not only when they get stuff like this off their chest, but they like talking about themselves and feeling important because it makes them look good to women. When a woman takes pride or interest in his work and wants to know about everything that he does, and he is familiar with his line of work, obviously, he's gonna want to talk about it. He's like, ooh, she likes what I do. She thinks it's impressive. All right, I'll keep talking about it. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I'm a Disney exec. Oh, really? What do you do? Well, I mean, I'm in charge of doing this. And then, of course, he starts feeling more comfortable because she's probably not asking him questions right off the bat. And, of course, they have to continue going on dates. It's the same woman. Well, there's 2 of them. So, yeah, I think something has to happen for it to continue. There has to be some other sort of transaction. He has to be getting something out of it. Hope he's a good fuck, but anyway, I'm joking. But no, wouldn't it be horrible if you were doing this for a job as undercover? You have this mark and then he's like a lousy lay. It's like, okay, now I can't even get piped properly and I have to, this is really truly a sacrifice. I need to get a raise for this. How much are they getting paid to do that anyway?
wondering how Disney as a company looks at race, gender, and discrimination in the hiring process, about how they recruit and hire talent. Look no further.
I think there are times when it's like so front and center. It's like great because that's the focus. You know, like we have so many shows where we're casting and we're like, yeah, we're not even going to see certain people for it because we need that to the role.
So is it intentional that they want they only look for diverse candidates for certain roles?
Yeah, I think there's certainly a belief that it's just good for society and but there's also a belief that like we're going to make more money if we appeal to a wider variety of people, and it's a good thing.
But you're not appealing to a wider variety of people. Not even the minorities like the stuff that you're putting out. You're tokenizing people. Who's gonna be there for that? If that's front and center, hey guys, we want the world to be a better place where people don't look at race. But yet, in the media, you're saying, hey guys, we want everything to be about race. Notice the color of people's skin. And also, these people over here that just happen to look white, even if you're not white, but you look white, we don't like you. You don't get to be in the group of inclusion. People can see right through that. Everybody's been seeing right through it. It's disgusting. We didn't need freaking Italiano over here coming out and saying this because it was very easily observed from everyone. And the reason why more white people are vocal about it is because they're the ones being discriminated against. Not because of what happened many, many years ago in America does it give anybody the right to now, on the flip side, punish people for the color of their skin, something they can't control, when they're not even the ones who did the bad stuff back then. How is that gonna help? Now you are just being the plantation owners. Like, you're basically flipping it around. It's very, very strange, and it doesn't fix things. The people who fought for diversity and who fought for people's right to exist despite what color they are, they wanted to simply be treated like everybody else. They weren't saying, hey, white people, we want to erase you out of your own country. Like, that's not what they were saying. All they were saying is, hey, we're a part of this history and we are citizens here. You've taken us from our native area. You haven't even put us back. And now even if those people were to go back there, the Africans don't want them because they're like, you're no longer African. What are you doing here? Which is wild that they're calling them African Americans, because a lot of Black Americans, there is nothing African about them. Ask a bunch of African people. They're like, there's nothing African about you. You're not African. You're just American. So you've disconnected them from their land. Now the only legacy they have here is America, and the America that, they did help build. Yes, the white people were here and did more of it, but you used them. You used them for a lot of those, and other people too, but most of the people that owned slaves, they were African slaves. So yes, I understand that. But now, generations later, people here that are born to those people from the past are American. That's all they know. So they're just asking, treat us like Americans, just like one of you. Don't tell me that I cannot do a job because my skin color offends you. Don't tell me that, oh, because my hair is 4C textured or it's curlier than normal or coily, I look unkempt because my hair grows this way out of my head. Don't tell me because, I don't know, like I have a slightly different accent that I'm somehow offensive and not marketable. That's all they were asking for. And it's not just black people, other people, Asian people, you know, East Asian people, South Asian people, Caribbean people. Everyone just wants to feel as though they are human beings and not looked down upon. That's all. And now you're like, you're gonna overcorrect and be like, well, we're gonna make you seem superior when you're really not. And it almost feels very spiteful in the way they do it, because it's like they're saying, oh, you guys want this so much. You want to be a part of us, right? How about this? And then they make them the center of attention while pissing off all the white people so the white people can target. Like the example I gave before about the sibling being favorited. You are turning everybody against those people. And there are people that do that on purpose. There are people that do that on purpose. They know it's going to cause contention. And so they do it to drum up resentment from all the other people. You're provoking them. Just like if you went into an African country where the demographic is majority dark-skinned people, maybe, let's just say they were prejudiced against the few white people that were there. It was like 5 white people. And then all of a sudden, you know, people there in Africa were like, in this African country are like, you know what? We have been treating the white people here a little bit badly. Let's include them. Okay, fine. You can be a part of our culture to the point where nobody cares. And then years later, the white people, some of the black Africans are like, we want to just hire white people. Even though you don't even make up most of the population, we want it to look like you consist of most of the population. So we're going to put you in all of our media. And actually, you know what? The black men, like the dark-skinned male African men, we actually don't want to hire you. And they start doing the most to the point where they vilify the African people in their own country, whatever African country it is. They keep provoking them like, it's because you're dark skin. Look at all and it's funny enough, colorism is a thing too, so that kind of happens, sort of. They're like, you're too black. Like, ugh, I don't like that. Like, nah, we need these white people over here. And I think a little bit of that does happen in some of those countries. And guess what happens? The black Africans start getting viscerally angry and start hating these white Africans that they didn't even hate before. But maybe they weren't tolerant of them in the past, but the newer generations were like, all right, whatever. You exist, you're an African too, you just happen to look different. Whatever. Don't fuck with me, I won't fuck with you. And then some of them are even friends who are like, oh, this is my buddy, whatever. Nobody cares. And then it got to the point now where we went all the way to the other side. And now these people that don't even make it the majority of the population, all of a sudden now are being heralded as God's best asshole. And the black Africans are like, what the fuck? Why are we being told that somehow we're offensive for existing, even though we make up the majority of this country, for a color of our skin that we can't help? Really? Really? So then they start looking at the white people like, you fucking... And that's what is happening with the black people in this country, in the USA. Like, I've lived here for a long time now, but it's still culturally shocking to me because we did not really have this issue where I came from. So I'm coming here and seeing this shit and I'm like, Jesus Christ, people are obsessed over skin color. It is bizarre. It is super bizarre to me. Like, you would think that little small groups of tribal, nomadic people would probably feel this way because that's indicating to them that's a different tribe that might be dangerous. It doesn't look like us. But we have industrialized ourselves. We live in a first world country and people are seriously out here hating other people because of the color of their epidermis, my guy. Wow. I have no words.
We have shareholders too, you know, and so diversity helps with that.
Diversity helps with financial incentive.
That's why you're losing so much money when your movies and shows focus on diversity. That's why, apparently, because you've been pushing it so much and vilifying white people so much, white people now are skittish every time they see a black person in movies or shows. You're making them into racists. Now they're like, you know what? This is probably gonna be fucking stupid because every show that they put people with melanin in, it usually is only about their skin color and the story is ass. So why would we even watch it? Oh, black lead female character? Nah, never mind. Doesn't appeal to me. This is not my audience. It wasn't made for me. And I'm told that because I don't look like this, I should shut up and not say anything because it wasn't made for me. So why would I watch it or spend my money on it? You're losing money. Does he not realize this?
So is it like, do you think it's more so on that side? Or?
You know what's scary? He's too old, but he looks like this guy I went to school with named Rocco. Like, they look identical, like the nose and everything. Could be related, you never know.
They're using, like, any good prices I guess put to use? Or?
Regardless. I think it is regardless, but I think that there are, like, even conservative people who may not want to lean into it can easily make the argument that, like, we make more money when we have a wider variety of people, and that means diversity.
Yeah.
There's a real focus on every show, and I'm sure the movies too, that I don't deal with that side of it. Even making sure that the writers' room has a real, diversity, not just gender or sexual orientation, but, making sure that they're hiring some writers who have certain disabilities rather than hiring, there's a really broad look whenever we're doing hiring.
And look, the initial reasoning behind this might be noble because you want to give certain people a chance, right? Disney, you make dreams come true. But is it possible that if these people are just handed things on a silver platter, that they might not be driven and motivated to try even harder and rise above their problems because they know they're just going to be treated like God's gift? They don't have to work very hard or do half the effort that other writers have done in the past who actually went to school and worked their asses off because they know that they're just going to win based on their skin color. Why not? Why wouldn't any of us take advantage of that? If we could get a job just based on our skin color, like, oh yeah, you don't even need to know all of this. You just have to look. You look like what we need a quota. We don't want to look racist, and we need an Asian person. So you got to come in now. And you're like, oh, okay. All the other people that are applying for this job seem to be Caucasian. So odds are in my favor. I don't even have to do very well on the test. So why would I work harder when I know I don't have to? Doesn't that also, as a result, as a domino effect, put minorities in a disadvantage because now you're making them dumber? And I don't mean that to be mean, but I'm being serious. If they are told and treated like they don't have to work as hard as white people for a role, and aren't you putting them at a disadvantage to provide quality work or to actually become the best they could be if they worked as hard? If they only do half the effort, they will never be their full potential, which is what a lot of the white people are. So you are putting minorities at a disadvantage. You're telling them you don't have to do as much as the white people over here because we don't even want them. They're more qualified, but you don't have to be as qualified. We're just gonna give you a handout because of the way you look. So it's okay. It's okay. Just look that way. See, guys, we hired a Chinese person. It's okay. We're not freaking racist. Meanwhile, you as a Chinese person is like, oh, okay, cool. And you put out something that is complete shit and the audience hates it. And that is your legacy now because people hired you based on the fact that you were Chinese. Why would that make anybody feel good? Why would that be good for society? Telling people that they can just get a role just based on their skin color to something they didn't choose. Now, it's different if you make a story that has a role for Chinese people, for black people, you want the character to look a certain way. But here's the thing, when you lean too much in one direction where you're like, oh, we don't want any white males, now it becomes exotic. White men become exotic and they become more sought after because they're so freaking rare. So I even found myself, I'm not a white male, but I even found myself being like, man, a story with an actual strong white male character or a white Asian man character? We have not seen that. We have not seen any Asian men in strong role like, you have to look outside, like in Korea or the old movies in America to get that. Remember like those movies that my dad used to watch with Jet Li and Ip Man or IP Man, whatever it's called, the dude. And that's like the only time you'll see them when they're in martial arts movies, which is kind of like very stereotypical. But if you want to get drama or heroes, I have to go to Korea. Like Korean media to see that, or Chinese media to see that. Whenever Asian men are portrayed here in America, they're usually like these bitch roles. And it's not even like they don't look masculine, it's just that they act, either they're killed off super quick or they're not in those roles at all. The only one that I've seen very modern and recently is Beef. And that was a really good show where they show Glenn, Steven Yeun, playing the role, and he's a freaking badass, but then they made him a bum, so it's kind of like a catch-22 there. And of course, the female character, she has like issues too, but she's like way stronger and looked at as superior because of how she carries herself and what she achieved. And the Korean guy is like, oh, he's just the bum. And then the really hot one is, he's like all buff and cute, but he's stupid. So it's like, it's the same thing like with Asian men in media. Like it's just this weird thing. You cannot have straight male characters, especially white male characters or Asian men that are in strong leadership roles. It's almost like, you know, where they were having a lot of that back in the day. It's almost like you can have that still and then bring in other stuff so it can be truly diverse and not only white men in those roles. But now it's never white men in those roles ever again. Like, I would like to see that. I would like to see me some Idris Elba, but I would also like to see me some Chris Pratt like we saw in the Tomorrow War, but them actually feel like real people. I would like to see some Steven Yeun in a movie where he's either not a bum or getting his head bashed in. Like, I would like to see that, but people are weird. And then they say they're diverse, right? I know I'm yapping a lot, sorry, but they say they're diverse, but when they show a black man, they never want to show them in a place of strength, right? And I'm talking about a straight black man, right? Even with the straight, like the gay characters, they always have to be like super flamboyant, like gay can only look one way. You know how many gay men don't act like that? You would never know they're gay. You would never know it. They just act like normal people. They're like, yes, bitch. Oh my, like they always have them on media looking like that. But most of the gay people that I know, you would never know that they're gay. They're like, oh, he likes dick. Okay. Other than that, talks like a normal person. He has character, he has dreams. The gayness is the last thing about him that's the least interesting about him. He's just a man who happens to like other men. Not, hey, I'm gay first. And that's how they seem to spin them in media. But then hiring a strong black man who's not a thug or who's fatherless, like it's so rare to see that. They say they love that. And that's why when the boys showed the whole A-Train thing and they rewrote A-Train's story to be like, oh, you were on the street and your father wasn't around or whatever. I'm like, really? Like, and the white men came to save him. It kind of feels like that a little bit. And Disney is doing the same thing and not even realizing that they're doing it. That's what I find very rich.
Yeah.
So they talk a big game about DEI, but do they actually do it? Apparently so. They even passed over a qualified half-black person for a promotion because they didn't look black enough.
Yeah.
We had a situation where we wanted to hire somebody in the department a few years ago now, who was half black, but didn't like appear half black. And there was a creative executive who was like, "We're not like that's not what we want."
That's not what I want. Wow. I am having such trouble trying to even articulate what I'm thinking right now. No, there's no words. Damn, Jason Biggs. Like, that is so embarrassing. That is so dehumanizing. Oh my God.
That's not what we want. Like,
They wanted the full.
they wanted somebody in meetings who would appear a certain way, and he wasn't going to bring that to meeting.
And so this is like on the
This was on the
corporate side, like the business side.
I never understood that. It's like, 'cause I know a lot, like I have like a lot of black friends who like are not as dark as like, you know. So do they care about that, or is like the ethnicity actually?
They say they don't care about it, but the truth is, to some extent, they do. If you're mixed, but you don't black at all, which sometimes happens,
Yeah.
then they're like, oh, I'm not so sure. But if you're mixed and you can tell they're somebody's part black, but they're not like that black, then okay, that was, it's crazy.
But apparently Meghan Markle is black enough? You can't make this up.
So with like Meghan Markle, who's pretty white.
Right, yeah.
Meghan Markle looks white to people? I mean, yeah, she does skew more on the white side, but she doesn't look white to me, but whatever. Maybe it's because her hair's straightened. It's funny, there's a lot of biracial people that if they straighten their hair, it's hard to tell, but then if they don't straighten their hair, it's like pretty obvious. Isn't that funny?
Meghan Markle was pretty white.
Right, yeah.
Would she be considered
She would still be, yeah.
diverse?
Yeah.
Or
Huh? As a white guy, even Michael has his own doubts about the possibility for advancement for himself at Disney, saying, quote, "As far as Disney is concerned, I'm a white male."
Right now, I'm like a half step below a department head. I have a team under me, but I don't oversee all the department. And I'd like to oversee whether that's at Disney or having to leave.
Okay. Do you think that you'll have opportunity at Disney?
Not after this. Not after this, bro. Bro's never going on a date again, I swear.
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I think I'm sort of like well prepared for it. I'm well positioned for it. But as far as Disney's concerned, I'm a white male. That's not who they're looking at promoting them.
In fact, Michael actually got to experience Disney's discrimination against white males firsthand.
So,
Oh, do you think that has a lot to do with it?
well, not a lot, but it's something to do with it.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
He doesn't even look that white. What the hell? He looks more Italian to me. Like, I don't know, bro. These people are so freaking weird. Wow, what a weird, prejudiced, racist group of people, and you work for them. How disgusting. Like, the money must be really, really good for you to be, like, openly discriminated against in your own company and, or where you work, and be like, I'm okay with it because the money would have to be good for that to happen. And obviously, because he's sharing all of this, must mean that part of him is disgruntled by it, or he wouldn't be talking so much about it. Now, I know that this is just only one part of the conversation, and the parts that they shared that actually mattered in context. I'm sure they talk about a whole bunch of other things, but he's talking about it because he wants to talk about it. And the other guy that just wanted pleasure, he'd be like, I don't want to talk about work. But he's obviously stuff he needs to get off his chest. So that's why he's talking about it.
What do you think the competition is?
Well, I mean, I've been up for jobs internally against people who have less experience than me, and you know, I haven't gotten it.
Okay. And they were given to somebody else. Do you think it had something to do with their...
In one or two cases, you know, I was told very explicitly that it is.
Wow. That's fucked up. And you go into it to other people. He's probably a little tipsy here, because if the way she's asking the questions, whoever this is, she feels a little more hawk-eyed in this one, and I would have started getting suspicious. I'm suspicious of people in general. Like, I'm really suspicious. As nice as I am, because I've been burned so many times by people, I'm super suspicious of people. I do not trust people. And you're asking all these loaded, directional questions that would make, especially in my position, I would be like, why is she asking all these questions? But he's obviously like really wants to get off his chest, and he's probably like kind of buzzed a little bit. He knows what's going on, but he's like, I'll just do it. It makes him a little bit more bold and less like, oh, I don't want to say anything. Or he probably just one of those people that can't keep his mouth shut. Probably has nobody he can talk to about this. Can you imagine, like, if you're saying stuff like this, you're not even allowed as someone who's considered white to speak about stuff like this because you'll just be canceled, like he probably is after this.
Yeah.
Explicitly how? What did they tell you?
I mean, you know, I've been at the company for 11 years now, so I have friends in HR and I have friends in other divisions, and they're like, look, nobody else is going to tell you this, Mike, but they're not considering any white, that's for a shot. They're just not. That's what they want.
And so it's probably fair that Disney would say, we don't want a white person to play this role.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're very careful about they're very careful about messaging because they don't want to get discrimination in either direction. But certainly there have been times where, you know, there's no way we're hiring a white person.
Just kind of unspoken.
There are times when it's spoken, but
How would they say it?
there's no way we're hiring a white person. They say,
Like straight to you? Or, okay.
They'd be very careful how they message that to agents.
In like email or whatever?
After getting a dose of Disney's discrimination himself, it seems like Michael may have been hit with a reality check that discrimination against people based upon race is probably not cool.
I mean, it kind of feels like at some point there's going to be a lawsuit. That's not
Kind of like he wants to be the one who sues for discrimination. Because like when it does happen to you, then you're like, oh boy, yeah, I don't like the way this feels. You liking that white male status now, buddy? Do you know how long it took for Italian men? He might not even be full Italian. He might just have a name and not even. But I remember, like, I don't remember, but this is hearing from my husband's side of the family and other Italians, like when they came here, they were seen as there's another derogatory term for them, and they kind of lump it in with black people. But white people here, white Americans did not look at Italian people as white. And then Italian men would breed they would, well, it is breeding, let's be honest. But yeah, they would get with the white women here and be like, oh, yay, now I'm like, they would get with a lot of Irish because the Irish were looked down upon as well, but the Italians were worse because a lot of them look Italian, which doesn't look white, at least not to me. Some Italians look that way. I think if you're like certain regions in Italy, you have Italians that are blonde haired, blue eyed, you know, they have a certain distinct look, but they still look more American than other Italians. So they were frowned upon and they had a bit of blowback too. And so they wanted to be a part of society. So it looked good when Italians, Irish, well, the Irish were white too, but their culture was a little bit different. Jewish people, like people wanted to kind of meld in with Caucasian Americans because if you're in a new country and everybody's treating you like you're not one of them, most people are going to want to belong to that culture. They're going to want to be like the majority, and it looks better on them if they're at a place of higher status. And if you go to any country and you don't look like those people, you are naturally going to be in a lower status. It doesn't matter where you go. So you have mixing. So now you have a lot of people from Sicily or from other parts of Italy that looked different that now through them mixing with the white people here, they're still Italian, but they're mixed enough now that they look white. And it was seen as like a better thing for them. So that's now why, oh, you look white, because now we have more minorities. So in comparison, people who are Black, Mexican, Puerto Rican, he looks more like white people. Kind of like Korea. Korea has the same thing too, where like if you're Chinese or you're Japanese, you're too dark. They don't like that because a lighter skin means, oh, you're more valuable. The whole thing's pretty stupid. Me even explaining it feels like I'm losing brain cells.
It was just because of, you know.
And that is a lawyer talking. Now, could it get worse? It actually does. Not only does Disney discriminate against white men, it gives management bonuses to hire DEI candidates over white men, totally disregarding their level of qualification, as long as they're not white. You heard me correctly. A part of some executives' compensation package is based on hiring and retaining Black hires. We saw this in the case of IBM. America First Legal has launched a lawsuit. Many people coming out of the woodwork from IBM, from these Fortune 500 companies, all saying they've experienced this. We are certain to hear from people inside Disney who've made these claims. Many people here in Los Angeles, here in Hollywood, very afraid of Disney, very afraid of retaliation against their creative productions or movies or films or jobs.
So clearly this is very repugnant behavior. And then what needs to be done about this, aside from the lawsuits? No one is saying that you now just have to hire white men alone, but you cannot discriminate on someone solely based on their skin color. You can still hire people from all over the world of different skin colors, but you cannot say, even if you feel that way and you work for this company, that you don't want to hire someone because they're not Black enough, not white enough. It just does not track very well. And it's funny how people have become so lost in their thought process that they become the very thing that they claim that they're fighting against.
Well, again, I haven't seen it exactly, but I mean, literally, like, you know, they have stats. 17% of our executives at this level identify as XYZ. 40% of our executives at this level identify as, you know, they have goals that they're trying to get. They want a certain percentage of diversity here, a certain percentage there.
But are these these are open goals? Because you're saying they can't say it in such specific terms. So are they open goals?
They are open goals at a senior enough level.
So how does Disney explain pushing these discriminatory practices to the people that they work with? Well, according to Michael Giordano, it seems like it's a sensitive issue, and they use code words and buzzwords.
I'm guessing that there is a acceptable code words and buzzwords that are used to explain the thing that they're looking for. They might say something like, you know, look, we're not looking at like the usual suspects for this job. You know, so it's like not like a legally actionable thing. Well, everybody knows what it means.
According to Michael, even Disney's human resources agencies are on board with these practices.
So they don't want to hire people to do a good job. They just want to hire them to look a certain way. Wow. Who are they trying to impress? Interesting. I don't know. I don't think people should be turned away because of the color of their skin. And if people want to make the argument that, well, most of the white people are more qualified for the job, then why? Then that means that people from other ethnicities need to bump up their game. We know that it can happen because there are people in these jobs. And before, I'm not talking about when they were doing the DEI stuff, years ago, you had people in these jobs and they would have to work hard. And I know it's a very difficult tightrope to walk across with one toe, because people might ask, well, what if every single person that is unqualified for the job happens to be of a non-white ethnicity? Then what? Then it's going to look like we're racist because all the white people happen to be more qualified. And that's a good question, because then you're going to be like, well, we don't want to look racist, so we have to turn away at least some white people because then they're going to say we're just hiring white people and then we'll get sued because of that. And that's understandable if you hire, let's say, a Chinese person and she's not as good as the 6 other white people that just happen to show up that are much more qualified, and you really want to hire a Chinese person, then you could probably give the person more training, but you'd have to be taking that out of your own pocket, your own time. Most companies don't want to do that, but if that is so important to you, then you wouldn't mind giving that person extra training. Maybe they don't already know everything because they don't have the experience, then give them the extra experience, sure. Give them a chance to prove themselves and then say that you'll fire them if they don't. Be harder on them. Yes, it's gonna feel uncomfortable, but that's one way you can do it if you really must. Because you know what's happening, you're focusing too much on just the way people look and not the quality of the work they're putting out. Your company is gonna capsize. And then you're gonna lose all those jobs for those minorities that you claim to care about because you're gonna have to do cutbacks, or your company might go under and you'll have to fire all those people anyway. So you're not thinking long-term how this is going to affect those people you claim to care about, which we know they don't care about.
Hi, guys. Do you know what the code words are for the discriminatory hiring practices? Do you work in HR? No? You familiar with the buzzwords? They don't know what I'm talking about now, but they will soon.
Say, you know, for writers and actors, I'll hear all the time, like, you know, I'm looking to hire writers and actors who bring diversity. I'm not looking to bring on any more clients who are like you know, so there's definitely that focus.
Disney even has an internal organization such as 20th Action Group, whose sole purpose is to promote discriminatory DEI hiring practices and to push bizarre characters and storylines on children. The question is, can the people just come to work, make their cartoons, and do the discrimination elsewhere? But apparently not on CEO Bob Iger's watch. So how is prioritizing these DEI practices over hiring merit-based talent worked out for Disney shareholders, you might ask? Well, over the past 5 years, the S&P index is up over 88%, and Disney is down almost 30%, making that once golden brand one of Wall Street's biggest disappointments. Yeah.
When you prioritize hiring based solely on skin color, neglecting quality and everything else, it just brings a bunch of suffering. Not just for the people involved, but for the projects that you're attached to. Anyway, they show when he's confronted, and the whole thing is just weird because apparently there were 2 undercover people that he was dealing with, so he was cheating on one with the other, and then they make it look like this dramatized TV scene, and it's so funny because I think he's in charge of that with shows, and he just became one himself. He just landed in one, didn't even realize it. This is so reality TV. The way that they did it, it's so hilarious.
Often comes to pick up my P-pop, right? No, of course. Okay. Oh, hey, babe. Hey.
Hi.
Yeah.
The look of abject horror on his face. Look. He's like, oh, that's funny. Oh no. This is so uncomfortable.
Yes.
Wait, do you guys know each other?
Yes. We are.
Oh, God. You told me you had a tickle in your throat.
I did.
This guy comes in like a wrecking ball on top of all of that happening. Poor Michael. Michael is so confused and he's still reeling from the interaction with the girls when this guy comes in now to reveal that everything that Michael had been saying has been recorded. Oh my God. And he probably said more behind closed doors, but of course you can, I think the consent thing with California is different. If it's in a public place, then you can be recorded or something. Who knows? Anyway, he comes in. This is freaking hilarious.
Hi. Is your name Michael Giordano?
Maybe.
Do you work for Disney?
I'm not gonna.
Is this you right here?
I'm not.
So you.
Bro, look at him. Does he look white to you? As a matter of fact, I think, yeah, the majority ethnically of Italy, I think they mostly are olive tone skin or darker skinned with darker hair. I don't think blonde is the majority in Italy. It just isn't. It's like classified as Southern Europe. So how do they look at someone like him and see white? Like, I just don't get it.
Here?
Look at him compared to the other guy. I look at someone like this and immediately I'm thinking, dude looks Italian. or Arabic, which funny, I think that a lot of the dark hair Italians with darker skin, I think that the genes actually flowed from the Arabic people into the Italians. I could be wrong, but I think I was reading that somewhere. So it's funny that people look at him and say that he looks white or he's classified as a white male when there are Latino people that look like him and they're lighter than him. So you know there's a lot of Puerto Rican people also too that have blonde hair and blue eyes. Are they not Puerto Rican or Latino enough? They're Mexican people that look like that too. But ethnically and culturally, they are still very much Mexican or Puerto Rican. But I bet you they wouldn't hire them based on that because they don't look like it, which in and of itself is very racist.
So you are the vice president of the Walt Disney Company, and you're on tape saying that you don't hire white males. Quote, "No way we're hiring a white male."
There's no way we're hiring a white male.
Sir, are you the vice president of Disney?
I love showing this part because it basically shows him right before. Him, like we can't tell. Okay. So the guy gets into his car in a Tesla, which is why it's so funny.
I will put you on tape, and I do have that authority under the First Amendment. You know, just because you work in Hollywood doesn't give you entitlement to discriminate against people on the basis of race. Michael Giordano.
I'm dead. Is he chasing him down the road? Yo, this dude, whoever he is, what, James O'Keefe, he is a real journalist, bro. This is crazy. Oh my God. He is running in dress shoes and a suit down the road after a Disney exec driving a Tesla. If you don't get the irony of him driving a Tesla, you will soon.
Sir, he's got the Tesla. Let's see if we can catch up to him. Hi, Michael. Watch out. Watch out. Hi, Michael. Discrimination on the basis of race.
Oh no, this is so uncomfortable to watch. But I don't know why it's so hilarious. I don't like when people do this, like the paparazzi, when the actors are actually trying to get away from them. But he's like, oh no. Oh my God, this is so uncomfortable. If I were Michael, I would feel like, oh no, my life is over now. You're running from it, but you already know what's coming after.
Title 7 of the Civil Rights Act. Look at his face. Look at his face. I always get my exercise with these guys. Whew. Disney sat right next to you.
He's the vice president of Disney.
You bet, yeah.
What's his name?
His name is Mike Giordano.
And so that was like a fake date?
That was a fake date.
And who was the girl? His girlfriend?
There were actually two girls. One girl confronted the other because he was lying to one of the girls about the girls he was dating. So it was a whole... That was a real undercover investigation right there. That was not a real girlfriend. There were two girls, and the other girl made an excuse, and then they showed up and confronted them. And...
Wait, and so that girl was here on a date with him, and it was like a setup to get him here?
Yeah.
Wow.
Not a week goes by without a news headline about potential medical supply
Oh,
shortage.
y'all working hard.
Working really hard in
I love
Hollywood,
it.
exposing it. Yeah.
Okay.
You guys work in Hollywood?
I know.
Really? Okay. You probably shouldn't tell me because I'll.
Yeah, have a good one.
If there's any fraud you're committing, just be careful, okay?
Oh,
Underage?
The guy is like, wait, oh, I work in Hollywood, about to go twip twip. He's like, oh no. Oh, this is so, look at this person over here with the biggest mouth. They all look, I love the guy in the background, like, I'm trying to have dinner with my wife. You people are being loud. Oh my God, this whole thing is so funny. I don't know why it's so funny, the way they always run away. Oof. Ugh. Oh God, the awkwardness is killing me. So yeah, that was something. I don't feel bad for them. They're openly discriminating against people, and they thought it wasn't gonna catch up to them. You openly discriminate against people while claiming you're fighting discrimination. That's what's wild. But it's about time some of these really large companies that are shitting on their consumers get a taste of some of their own splashback. So of course, the guy's probably gonna get fired. He deleted his LinkedIn account, and we have this person saying that they kind of feel bad for him. Nobody asked him to say that shit. He's a grown-ass man. He talked his stuff, and he'd never gun to his head when he said it. If he knew that there was a possibility of this getting out and the company wouldn't want people to know, then he should have kept his mouth shut. Said that a provocateur going by the name of James O'Keefe, how is he? Is he a provocateur? Because I don't see anything provocative about what he's done. He's exposing, he's being a journalist. The real provocateur journalists are out there calling audiences all kind of names and stuff, but we don't call them that, do we? be. So the person says the video that O'Keefe published is wild and I do feel bad for the target individual. I don't. O'Keefe sent over one of his spies on a mock date with Disney senior VP Michael Giordano, who can be seen on camera telling the secret female reporter that Disney purposely doesn't hire white males and actors solely on the basis of the color of their skin. The author says, I'm hearing that Giordano, who just deleted his LinkedIn account, has been told by Disney to take a leave of absence after this video came out. I'd be shocked if they don't just quietly fire him for these comments. And the comments have gone viral, and it helps that Elon Musk shared the clip with his 188 million followers. I mean, the guy was driving a Tesla. It's a great advertising campaign. Like, you know, he got away out of there fast enough and was able to maneuver because he was driving one of my cars. Then later, this part is interesting. It isn't surprising that Christian Toto led me to a film threat investigative report, which had former and current Disney employees spilling the beans about the company's plans to chase away veteran animators in favor of its diversity at all costs plan. The term, what the fuck? The term pale and male is stale became an unofficial catchphrase behind the scenes, according to Film Thread. Wow. You don't see how that is problematic? That's as racist, like, okay, maybe not as racist, but it's kind of fucked up. Like, imagine people saying something like black and whack and fathers they lack. Like, that's kind of what this is giving, bro. And people that work at these companies... Wow, I'm dead. So the person says, they closed the article saying, this has me wondering, is Disney sacrificing talent over skin? That's what Film Threat and Giordano are implying. When it comes to product quality, this approach seems a tad misguided. No, for any given project, you want to have the best possible creatives involved with the film and not quota hires. Hey, that's just me. I'm not all involved with Disney. They can do whatever they want. It's just a minor suggestion. And you know what's funny? If it was mostly pale and male back then, the older Disney movies seem to have way more diversity along with substance and quality in their movies. Isn't that strange? Isn't that weird? But whatever. The only thing that Disney needs to jump on the man for is having black characters that are not turning into animals for the majority of their movies. They need to work on that because I don't know what's going on with that, but that's just weird. But yeah, that's the video. That's what's going on with this situation. And you know what? I do not feel bad for this company. Their pants have gotten a little too big for their bodies. I don't know why people use that saying, but it makes sense somewhere. And it's just, people have been saying this for a long time, and Disney is treating us, gaslighting us, and saying we're the problem. And the fact that they don't see this kind of feels like it's more in line with Disney, because they were saying Disney was racist and stuff in the past. Well, good, you know, if Walt was such a racist individual, which he probably was, you're doing a great job upholding his legacy. I'm sure he'd be real proud, because you're following in his footsteps. But what do I know?